When the dust settled, Simon, last night, probably you were the same as me. I was like, right, how actually did it go? So how did it go?
I think what I learnt was that Eddie Hearn is a very formidable and capable operator, and capable of saying anything that will obviate some of the questions that I wanted to ask him. I also learned, which I didn't need to learn and no one else would have needed to learn, is that Eddie Hearn knows a lot more about boxing than I do, and I would expect him to do so because he's arguably the world's biggest boxing promoter and been in it for 20 years. I've only been looking at it for the last year. I think we also learnt that Eddie Hearn's matchroom seemed to be the only promoter in the country that has a contract with fighters that doesn't allow them to do certain things like step away from a contract when a fighter fails a drugs test, which I found very strange because all the other promoters seem to have that clause, and I would have thought the biggest promoter would have had that, so it's very strange. And we learnt that irrespective of all the background noise, still going to promote Conor.
Yeah.
And I wonder what people think of that, because irrespective of how much we wish Conor to be clear and free of these obligations, until he faces the British Boxing Board of Control, he's not. And we learnt that irrespective of all of that, Eddie doesn't care about that. He's just going to promote him somewhere else in the world.
But I did hear that he did say something there that I believe in. And if he's his friend and he completely believes in him, what he said, and him to be innocent, then yeah, back him, promote and do what you've got to do. I would back you in 100%, no matter what any regulation says.
I agree that loyalty comes before force sometimes. But I also think that if you're going to do that, then you need to be really strong from the outset and give this young man the very best advice.
Yeah.
And kicking him and screaming in front of the people that control his destiny, which is the British Boxing Board of Control. Demand and command a fair hearing. And if it isn't, drag them into the public domain, take them to the Court of Arbitration of Sport and make it fair.
He did say he's going to try and influence him to do that, didn't he?
Well, 6 months has been lost. But I thought it was, whether I, felt that the Punch and Judy show that it became at times was great, you cannot not admire Eddie Hearn because he's a very strong, capable operator.
Yeah.
And he stepped up, unlike many would.
And he came in. Yeah, he came to us. Yeah, okay. Well, all the backslapping's over now.
Because you are a determined negotiator.
Well,
I listened and I thought, you know what? You are good at it. And I think it takes some kahunas for anybody, even Eddie Hearn's stature, to come in and do that.
When you've got the ability to play the card all the way through, that I know boxing and you don't, then you're going to play that card all the way through. The great thing is, and of course it's right, if you're the biggest boxing promoter in the world and you've been doing it for 20 years, there would be something fundamentally wrong if you didn't know more than me.
Now, we're talking boxing at the moment, and I'm seeing messages flying in at the moment. I'll select one. Kelvin in Chisora. I'm done with Tyson Fury. I will never watch another one if this fight is off. No class, no integrity. He is just a greedy bum. Well, I don't think Tyson will be all that happy to hear that this morning. But in the last few moments, we have learnt officially that Fury Usyk, April 29 at Wembley, is off. It is off. It's not happening. Now, we are the first media organisation to get official word of this because here he comes. Usyk's manager, Alexander Krasiuk, confirming the fight is off just minutes ago.
The fight is called off. The reason for that is that it went too far. So there was a feeling that after Usyk accepted 70-30, Tyson Fury started to think that he can put a saddle on his neck and start riding Usyk as much as he can. It's not right. I mean, Usyk accepted 70-30 split as the courtesy. He was so loyal and he was so willing to make this fight happen. But the fight is not about Tyson Fury. The fight is about WBC belt that is pending in his collection. And if it's so complicated that Tyson tries to avoid it with putting so many obstacles in front of making the deal, then there is no need to put more efforts on it, and we just go the way. The only thing that stays in my mind, we can claim very clearly that undisputed stays our highest priority, and we will do our best to make it happen within the shortest period of time. And whoever is the temporary holder of WBC belt, we will try to make it happen.
Alex, what else did Fury want from you? What else did he want?
If I start telling you the list of things he wanted, 1, 10, 5, 15 minutes will not be enough. There was a list of things he wanted to get in his favor, which were absolutely unacceptable, which were complete disrespect to the champion, to the unified champion and former undisputed champion, and he just didn't want even to discuss it.
Give me an example, just one example, Alex, of what he wanted.
I cannot disclose you the negotiations. It's part of, the ethics. So if I start going to the details, it won't look good. Maybe if the other party will be willing to give us to take the decision to disclose what were the things, then we can talk about it. At this time, I cannot do this just for this reason.
But you can confirm once again that the fight at Wembley between Usyk and Fury on April 29 is off.
With huge regret in my heart, I must admit this.
What else is your fighter going to do now? I mean, what's next for OLEKSANDR?
Yeah, he will take a short break and he will comply with his mandatories.
That was Alexander Krasiuk speaking to me just moments ago. I mean, this is hugely disappointing, isn't it, Simon? I mean, you heard the line there. Fury wanted to put a saddle in Usyk's back and ride him as far as he could. I mean, all the pointers are that Fury push and push and push with demands, and Krasiuk and Usyk eventually were like, look, we've given you 30-70 in your favour. Yeah. Enough now. Yeah. Enough.
I think Frank has got to step into the fold and pull this together. And it's on him because he is the voice and he needs to probably come out and say something. I think he probably wants to sit in the background and try and get Tyson in line because he probably feels that going into the media right now is not going to help it. What I understand to be the situation is very clear. This is not a complicated situation. Fury's had his way, and there's an element of a peeing competition going on here. He wants the rematch clause out. And there's an argument going about the rematch clause and the split on the rematch clause. They cannot square the circle on the split on the rematch clause. That's my understanding of it. So what Fury's saying is, take the rematch clause out. Forget the rematch clause. I might have introduced it in the first place, but I tell you what, I don't want it in there anymore. Let's have it out. So no one's got to have an argument about it. Everyone takes the belts, everyone disappears into the ether after the fight. And the argument now is about the rematch clause coming out or the split on the rematch clause. So if you don't have to have an argument on the split on the rematch clause and you just take the rematch clause out, I think it cures it. But I do think that Usyk is right. I think they're treating him like a boy. I think Tyson's trying to ride over the top of it. He did like to have his conversation last week about, shut up, everybody, I've got what I wanted 70-30. There is an element of people having a peer competition. But if this rematch clause comes out, and this is the debate that's happening, there is nowhere for anybody to go. And I don't know why Alex wouldn't say that, because that is the
no. Give Krasiuk, we got to give him, we got to compliment him for fronting up, unlike Frank.
But he did say I don't know how true, but he did say it would take him 10 or 15 minutes to give you the list of demands. So why would it only be that one? Wouldn't he just say, look, there's one
point, Danny. It's a lot more than that.
You know, I'm not here to defend.
No, I know you're not.
Frank
I'm just
Warren.
hypothesising.
And Frank is going to put himself in the way of criticism if he doesn't come out and speak. And I think the idea for not speaking is because he thinks he's going to add to the confusion rather than get the fight done, because his whole focus in life, and he has to be judged by it in the same way that I judge by Eddie Hearn. If he doesn't deliver this fight, it's a failure on Frank Warren. But to tell you something, I don't think any of these people, Eddie, Ben Shalom, Bob Arum, can manage Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury is a law unto himself. Now, whether Tyson Fury is frightened of fighting Alexander Usyk, that's all up for debate. I don't think anybody really thinks that. I think Tyson Fury thinks that this is my show. It's the only show in town. I'm the game,
and it's not,
and it's not, and that's not right. And he's going to have to
you're
climb
calling
down.
out Fury this morning, though, Simon, in no uncertain terms, or are you? I mean, you've been accused in the past of being a bit of a Fury fanboy.
Well, I mean,
and look at the messages. It's disgraceful, disrespectful to fight fans who wanted to see this fight. There's another one from Charlie in Liverpool. Fury's a bum, the big dosser. There's another one, Al the Hammer. Fury's gone down in my estimation, to coin a phrase. He is a bum dosser. At the end of the day, Krasiuk fronted up there moments ago.
Well, no doubt.
Frank's ducking for cover.
No doubt.
And Fury seems to be calling every shot.
No doubt we're going to hear something. Danny alluded to it a moment ago. We'll probably hear Tyson come up with something outlandish. And I also do think that Frank should say something. Otherwise, he puts himself in the way of this observation. I think his observation in his own mind is, I need to get down, get this fight done. I don't need to do it through the media. I need to get it done. But if he doesn't get it done, then he's going to take all the criticism that goes with it. And I believe that the managing of Fury is a difficult task, but that's the task you take on. And I just think that Fury is trying to win every round before this fight's even been fought. And you can't do that in a business deal.
Do you think there's still a chance it could happen?
To push back.
No, you heard Krasiuk there. I think
I
it's
think
over.
it could still happen.
I think it can still happen. Yeah.
Well,
might not. Maybe I think it will still happen.
I think it can still happen. But
I think
not
it would.
April the 29th.
It would have to be in the next 48 hours.
Do you think Krasiuk and Usyk are in the mood to do a U-turn now?
They're fit.
They feel humiliated.
They're fit and ready to fight.
He won't want to go again.
They're fit and ready to fight. They can sell the tickets. The pay-per-view deals are done.
Do you think Frank will come on this morning and tell us that?
Well, I doubt it. I would imagine. Because
why are we all bowing at the temple of Fury?
Because
I don't get it.
Well, I don't think we should be. But the bottom line is that people believe that Fury brings the juice. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given him 70-30. They haven't just given him 70-30 because they're a registered charity. They've given him 70-30 because Usyk knows that if he doesn't fight Fury, he gets 2 or 3 million quid for fighting a smaller fighter. And who would that be? I don't know. Maybe Daniel Dubois, maybe Joe Joyce, but they're not going to put in the numbers. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody should be excusing Fury, right, and suggesting that Fury just gets a pass. But if we're suggesting, and that's the suggestion that I'm being understood to be the case, that the final stumbling block is the rematch clause and the argument about that, and Fury wants it taken out, even though he was the one that wanted it in, so he's a hypocrite, why don't you take it out? Then you haven't got an argument about split. And then if there's this big long list after it, why don't you air that big long list so that we can actually make Tyson look silly?
Why would Tyson Fury want a rematch clause in?
Well, because
not daft,
because it's common sense. In the same way that why
not
would
when he believes he's the best in the world, and he'll swat him like a fly.
Deontay Wilder, and again, I'm not defending Tyson because it sounds like I am. And after the outburst last week, I'm less inclined to defend Tyson for anything. But the point is this: why did Deontay Wilder want a rematch clause?
Yeah, but I'm saying it's a compliment.
Why did actually Josh want a rematch clause?
It's a compliment to Tyson. What I'm saying is, why would it, if he's so confident, he's so good, which he is, and he's never lost, and he thinks this guy's a weight
business.
Let's simplify it.
So that's not him. It's somebody in his ear.
Fury's been totally unrealistic about what he thinks you should get out of this.
He's not being unrealistic. He's been unreasonable.
Unreasonable. Yeah. The fight's off. You heard from Alex Crasio confirming it there. Usyk's manager. The fight is off. So what we want this morning is to hear Frank Warren confirm that the fight is off. Fury, who says so much, seems to be saying very little this morning, and Frank Warren saying even less than that. But the fight is off. Reaction to that coming up.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.